Hello everyone, myself Vivek Devani and my topic is manual muscle testing for deltoid.
So today we are going to assess the strength of the deltoid muscle. So we are going to perform manual muscle testing to assess the strength of the deltoid muscle on the right side. So the deltoid muscle has three different fibers: the anterior, middle and the posterior. All the three different fibers of the deltoid muscle perform different actions in our body. So the anterior fiber of deltoid performs shoulder flexion. The middle fiber of deltoid performs shoulder abduction, and the posterior deltoid fiber performs shoulder extension. All the three fibers of deltoid are supplied by the same nerve, which is the axillary. So before assessing, first let's see which are the grades used to interpret the MMT. So there are many grades which are used for the interpretation. There are many scales such as Kendall scale, Oxford scale or the MRC scale. Today we are going to use the MRC scale for the deltoid for the manual muscle testing interpretation. So the MRC scale stands for the Medical Research Council scale. So in which the grade 0 is no contraction, grade 1 is flicker contraction, grade 2 is full range of motion in gravity eliminated plane, grade 3 is full range of motion against gravity, grade 4 is full range of motion against gravity with minimal resistance, and grade 5 is full range of motion against gravity with maximal resistance. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Myself Vivek Devani. My name is
Rohan.
Today I am going to be a therapist and I am going to assess the strength of your right side deltoid muscle, which perform different movements such as flexion, abduction and extension of your shoulder joint. May I?
Yes.
Firstly, we are going to assess the anterior fiber of the deltoid. For assessing the anterior fiber of the deltoid, first we will start with the grade 3 of MMT, which says that full range of motion against gravity. For that, the patient need to be in the high sitting position, and the command for the patient will be lift your arm upward towards the ceiling. This is grade 3. For grade 4, the therapist need to apply the minimal resistance while the patient is performing the movement. Please lift your arm. Okay. For grade 5, the therapist need to apply the maximal resistance while the patient is performing the movement. Please lift your arm. Okay. For assessing the grade 2 of the anterior deltoid, the patient is positioned in the sideline and the therapist's command will be take your arm forward. If the patient is able to complete full range of motion in gravity eliminated position, which is sideline, then the patient gets grade. For assessing the grade 1 for the anterior deltoid, the therapist just need to palpate and check whether the contractions are present or not. So now we are going to assess the middle fiber of the deltoid. So first let's start with the grade 3. For assessing the grade 3, the patient position should be high sitting, and the therapist will command the patient to take the arm towards the ceiling in the sideways. For assessing the grade 4, the therapist need to apply minimal resistance. For assessing the grade 5, the therapist will need to apply maximal resistance. So now for assessing for grade 2, the patient position is supine like, and the therapist will give command like take your arm out of the plane from sideways. And for grade 1, the therapist will just palpate and check for the contractions are present or not. And for the grade 0, there will be no any kind of contraction or movement present. So now we are going to assess the posterior fiber of the deltoids, which perform two actions, which are shoulder extension and horizontal abduction. So firstly we are going to check for the shoulder extension. So for that, for assessing, we will start with the grade 3. For assessing grade 3, the patient position will be prone lying, and the therapist command will be take your arm towards the ceiling. Okay, relax. For assessing grade 4, the therapist need to apply minimal resistance. Take your arm towards the ceiling. And for the grade 5, the therapist need to apply maximal resistance. Take your arm. Okay. And for assessing grade 2, the patient just need to complete partial range of motion. Take your arm towards the ceiling. Okay. And for assessing the grade 1, the therapist just need to palpate and check whether the contractions are present or not. And for grade 0, there will be no any kind of contraction or movement present. So now we are going to check for the shoulder horizontal abduction. For that, for assessing the grade 3, the patient position should be prone lying with elbow out of the plinth and 90-degree flex. The therapist will give command to take the arm towards the ceiling. Okay. Now, for grade 4, the therapist need to apply the minimal resistance. For grade 5, the therapist need to apply maximal resistance. Now for assessing the grade 2 of the posterior deltoid horizontal abduction, the patient should be in the high sitting position. The shoulder of the patient should be flexed and the elbow should be also 90-degree flexed. Now the therapist will give a command to take the arm backward. And for grade 1, the therapist will just check for the contractions and by palpating. And for the grade 0, there will be no any kind of contraction or movement will be present.
Thank you all for listening me.